Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm going to talk today about conjunction occurring now through April 1st. It actually started on about March 25th. That is the Venus and Saturn conjunction. Pretty exciting and interesting transit. I'm going to go over what that might mean. So we have Saturn. And the essence of Saturn is Saturn represents time, age, restrictions, delays, fears, lessons. Saturn is here to teach us lessons. Saturn is also very karmic, so things coming back from the past. And then we have Venus. Saturn's meetup, or Venus's meetup with Saturn here at 21 degrees of Aquarius. And Venus is everything that we value, all things that we love and appreciate. So, relationships, money, our resources, how we express love, how we like to receive love. And their visit together is occurring in Aquarius, which is the revolutionary. Aquarius wants new and different. Aquarius wants to be free, will break out. Aquarius also tends to be, because of its logical nature, a bit unemotional and detached, very practical in thinking. So when you have Venus and Saturn together in the sign of Aquarius, and we think about what kinds of things could happen in our lives as a result, we can talk about relationships. And on the positive side, it could be strengthening Saturn, a love relationship. Venus could be bringing back or revisiting an old love relationship, could be feeling restrictions or delays within a relationship. It could be wanting to experiment even within a relationship. Could be taking that experimentation outside of a relationship. And all of this happening in the sign of Aquarius can be very unusual and very sudden type occurrences. Now, on the positive side of that, you could have a very strong, mature Saturn relationship, Venus, that is looking for ways to spice things up and do new and different things. So, an example of that could be a partner taking you on a trip, your husband or your wife taking you on a trip somewhere that would feel like paradise, Venus. Doing something very interesting, different, and unusual, even in Aquarius, could be something extreme, like, a balloon ride, or just something very, very fun and exciting. Could be taking a relationship to a higher level. Could be taking a relationship from casual to committed. That could be another positive expression of Saturn, Venus together in Aquarius. Like maybe somebody pops the question, halftime at a basketball game or something like that. Saturn and Venus in the world, Saturn and Venus in terms of relationships could also be looking at only the practical side of relationships. So it could be very transactional. World example could be Saturn cracking down on Venus in Aquarius, very transactional. Could be, and we've seen some of this, prostitution rings, child trafficking rings busted. We had one not long in Florida. So things like that. Saturn conjunct Venus in terms of relationships and, love and how that might combine with Saturn. We're talking about money. We can say that maybe we're looking to invest on the positive side, invest money into something structural like a house. Maybe if we're looking at something that's on the other end of that, it could be overdrawing your bank account. It could be something coming back financially that you've had to deal with that was a result of something that you did in the past, be that good or bad. If we're talking about creativity, music, art, maybe we're experiencing a delay in trying to put a project together. Or in Aquarius, if we're doing something online, maybe there are technical issues, and the structure of what it is we're trying to put together creatively, Venus, isn't quite coming together. Any of those types of things are really good examples of how Venus and Saturn could express in the sign of Aquarius. Of course, it all depends on what might be aspecting your planets in your chart, to describe what might occur in your own personal life. But collectively, and as general examples, those are ways that Saturn-Venus conjunction could express. I want to go over some of the aspects of this Saturn-Venus conjunction, and the one in particular that is significant to me, that caught my eye, is the square that this conjunction is making to the karmic nodes of the moon. South node Scorpio, North node Taurus. And Saturn is also very karmic. So if we're talking about dealing with things from the past, and then the nodes dealing with things from the past, South node trying to transform that, fix it, deal with it in some way, and move it into something that we're more settled with, that we can be comfortable with. And the South node in Scorpio is asking us to potentially let go of something, deal with some kind of fear, and that could involve revisiting the past in some way. So it's a very karmic square from the nodes to Saturn. So it could be very significant occurrences in the world and in your personal lives. So I wanted to point that out. Also, another example is I was thinking about, like, well, how could I come up with a real world example here to throw out for this video? And what came to my mind for Saturn-Venus conjunction was this past weekend and the Oscars that was were televised on TV. So we had the Oscars, Saturn, a time-honored tradition. Venus, very glitzy and glamorous, coming back to TV live after a couple of years. I think it's been on hiatus because of the pandemic. So coming back together live, we're all able to watch it on our televisions, our HD, 4K, 5K, ultra high definition TVs, Aquarius. That is a good example of the Saturn Aquarius conjunction, and that just occurred this past weekend. Interestingly enough, and everybody's talking about it, the situation that occurred between Will Smith and Chris Rock. I guess you'd have to be under a rock to not know about that. It's been all of the buzz. I don't follow pop culture too much, but I actually have read several things about it. And so that incident is interesting because it did happen at the Oscars. Like I explained how that could represent Saturn and Venus conjunct. But the actual incident itself, which I think is a really good example to show you how energies come together in the sky and can actually represent real life examples. And so we have this sextile here to the Aries energy, because last week we just went into Aries season, or was it the week before? It was on the 21st. But at the time of the Oscars, we had the Sun and Mercury in Aries, and was sextiling the Saturn-Venus conjunction. And so we know that Chris Rock made an off-color joke, which is very typical uh, of the Oscars or actually any comedian. And, that was very typical of Mercury and Aries. Mercury and Aries is very funny. So definitely, I bet you there are a lot of comedians out there with some kind of Mercury Aries or Aries aspect. So that was very Mercury Aries. Will Smith getting angry very quickly, his perception, Mercury, the mind. Um, he took that, he was very, very offended by that on behalf of Jada. And the Sun and Mercury and Aries, he just popped off and smacked Chris Rock right in the face. Aries is very impulsive and quick to anger, and it just takes action. It's very protective. So that was a very Sun and Mercury and Aries reaction from Will Smith. And sextiling Venus and Saturn in Aquarius, representing the Oscars, very good example of how planetary energies come together and we can actually relate them to real world situations. So I wanted to throw that out there. Now, going further into that story, we know the next day, Will Smith decided it was best that he apologized. He calmed down. He probably really truly felt remorseful. Aries has a tendency to do that. They pop off, they get angry, they do something impulsive, and then they realize afterwards that it probably wasn't exactly how they wanted to express themselves, and they feel bad. So the next day he issued a public apology to Chris Rock. And so that could have been a very Saturn Venus expression to apologize after the fact. Why? Because Will Smith has a very long standing and public reputation for being mature, Saturn, and his reputation, Venus. So he apologizes because he wants to, do some damage control on his reputation, and probably because, he really did feel bad and remorseful. And, the lesson was for him to actually apologize. And he did that. And Chris Rock accepted the apology with grace. And, we don't really know what goes on behind the scenes, but from what we know, that's what's occurred up to this point. So another very interesting example to show you of how planetary energies come together. And this was a really good one. Obviously, there are a lot more things, but, I thought that would be kind of it's not really funny, but, a lighter example to use for the purpose of this transit than some of the other things that we could talk about that, I don't think any of us need to be saddled anymore in discussion on some of those issues, at least not right now. I really don't feel like talking about it right now. So anyway, these conjunctions, aspects to conjunctions as the planets transit around, they don't have to affect you personally. If you have points or planets that are hitting any of the conjunctions as any of the planets as they transit, or aspecting in any way, they will and or could affect your life. I'd like to hear if they have. Have you had anything interesting or sudden happen in a relationship or with your finances? Comment down below. I'd like to hear. Also, I also wanted to mention too that as Venus moves into Pisces, yes, that's important. As Venus moves into Pisces at the end of next week, she does have the opportunity to take a look at what she learned here and really tap into her intuition, come into her heart center, and really feel into what occurred this last week, by then, week or two, and, do some healing, make amends if she needs to go back and clean things up, do something different, show some love and compassion, bring things back together, or as she moves into Pisces, Neptune has a tendency to dissolve and disintegrate, and there could be some final endings there. So I wanted to throw that out there. I know we're not talking about Mercury and Pisces, but as she moves away from Saturn, she will be going into Pisces, and I think there is an opportunity there to go back and do a little bit of cleanup. So that's it for today. I hope that this was helpful. I'll be back to talk about some more really interesting and cool conjunctions and transits in the month of April, working on the horoscopes still. I'm trying to I'm learning a new software. You can see the chart looks a little different. It's not too terribly difficult, but it's just arranging things and, moving times around so I get the planetary placements correct for the horoscopes. And I didn't do it for the first few zodiac signs, but I may go ahead and trial it out for the rest of the zodiac signs. So if anybody has seen theirs the one, and they look at one after tomorrow, they'll see it's different. Please be patient with me. If you like it, I'd be happy to go back and redo them. I think it'll be easier to follow along the horoscopes, and it'll feel a little bit more authentic. At least it will for me. So I will see you soon. Thanks for coming. Please like, subscribe, and share. I appreciate all of you. I will see you next time. And until then, may the stars forever be in your favor. Take good care.